Welcome to Utah's Fly Corner. I'm going to show you how to tie the PWO floating nymph. A lot of baity species, they float on top of the water. The nymph floats on top and it pops out when they're hatching. This fly is completely and utterly deadly. It's a great searching pattern as well. It's a good pattern if you don't know really what's hatching. You can throw it out there and get them. It's a floating nymph. It's a pheasant tail floating nymph is what it truly is, but it matches the BWO nymphs greatly. And what I'm really going to show you here in this video is the technique for doing the dubbing ball for the wing post. It gives it a low profile in the water. It does make the fly harder to see, but it's a different technique, and the fish sure do like it like this. When the dubbing ball gets a little chewed up from the fish gnawing on it, it's fine. If it gets all wispy, the fish still gobble it up. But I'm going to show you the dubbing ball technique for the parachute post. So let's get started. I'm going to tie a size 16. I'm using a size 16 light wire dry fly hook. I'm going to start with Uni 8/0 in camel. Start my thread about a hook eye back. Bring it back to the barb. Snip it off. Use natural pheasant tail. Only want about 3 or 4 fibers. I want to keep these flies skinny. I recommend you tie them in sizes, all sorts of sizes, 12s, 14s, 16s, real deadly in 16, 18, and 20. And tie them as small as you can go. It's a great pattern. Check out my other videos. I do the exact same fly, but with a post sticking up. Now the tail, you don't want much. I measure it about 2/3 of the hook shank. Just transfer it into my other hand. I hold it on my side on an angle. I bring the thread up and over, and what that's going to do is it's going to pull it. It should pull it up on top of the shank. I bring another one over. That brings it up on top of the shank. That tail's a little long, but it'll be okay. Now just leave the thread there. Leave the thread there, and then I'm going to put a rib on it. UTC extra small copper wire. Just pull yourself off a length. And just catch it on. Nice loose wrap. And I don't know if you can see, but I'm pulling it to length. That's the length of the body. Tie it down nice and tight. Stop your thread about hook eye and a half to 2 hook eyes back. Wrap your pheasant the opposite way that you wrap your thread. Now to get a taper in it, you can have as you wind, have the back edge of the pheasant that you're wrapping touch the front edge of the your previous wrap, and it'll cause you to get a taper. Don't want too much of a crazy taper. Catch those in, tie them off. I'm going to lay down a little bit of thread here in the front. This way, when I bring my rib up, nice even turns. Having the copper rib on there is really going to protect the pheasant tail, and it's also going to give it some flash, which really helps out the fly for getting the fish's attention. I catch it in with a tight turn. I'm going to put a 90-degree bend in the wire. Secure it down with about 4 or 5 wraps moving forward. Keeping the thread tight. Break that off. Then I'm going to leave my thread right there for the moment. I'm going to show you how to make the dubbing ball for the post. It's very simple. Use super fine dubbing or some kind of polypropylene dubbing. The finer the material, the easier it is to do this. My hands are a little sweaty, so I'm going to dry them off because it's a little hard to make the ball when it's like that. So pull off a decent amount of dubbing. I started on your regular way with about 2 turns, but then you dub up like this. Fingers go up like this. Just get some started. Pull yourself off a nice another clump. Do the same thing. Now I'm going up and over. When you dub, you usually go this way with your finger and thumb, but I'm going up and over. And just get it to start making a ball. And just keep adding to the ball until you got one of appropriate size. You want a pretty decent sized ball on there because you're going to lose a decent amount to the posting process. Just keep making yourself a nice wad of dubbing on there. Now you can really work it into a ball if you bring it up on top. I don't know if you can make this out or not. I hope you can. But I'm just working it into a ball. Let me bring my thread back to where I want it to be at about the 2/3 point. I'm going to slide it down. I'm going to pinch the ball, bring my thread down underneath, pull it straight down, nice and tight. And you can work the ball to where you want it. I want it right there. I'm going to take a quick turn on that side and on this side, and then one quick turn around and tighten it down. It's really going to hold it in place. Now what I like to do, I don't like to post up at the hackle at the same time as the ball. I like to get that hackle, the post base, where we're going to be wrapping our hackle nice and built up. Try to do even turns as possible. Make yourself a post. This one's going to have a nice little button ball on it. Oops, sorry, bumped the camera. Now I'm going to do my hackle. Strip some fibers back and trim. Trim them nice and close to the stem. Sorry, my hands are a little shaky this morning here. Had a little too much coffee, I guess. I suppose, but I'm going to catch it in on my side. Bring it back to the post and then post it up. Bring your thread back down. Now don't worry about it getting a little heavy from thread wraps because you really want this to nestle down in the film. The hackle will hold it up. Now we're going to dub the thorax area. It's going to be brown, super fine. Just little teeny tiny bits. Make that dubbing as tight as possible. Don't want to dub on a lot at one time. And when you dub like this, I recommend that you don't put on more than you need because you're going to end up getting it so tight on that thread that it's almost next to impossible to pluck it off. It'll take you more time to pluck it off than it'll take you to add a smidge more if you need it. I've tied try thousands of these things, hundreds, if not 1,000 of them. So I have a general idea how much I'll need. I like to wrap back over the abdomen area a little bit. And I turn the fly so that I can see that I get a nice coat on that side. Doing X-wraps, covering it in. Always make sure that you leave yourself some room for a head. If you don't, you're going to be in a world of trouble when it comes to tying off your hackle. We're going to wind the hackle. Now I like to wind clockwise. I see a lot of tyers they wind counterclockwise. We're going to go 3 turns, one right under the other. Now I bring it on my side as if I'm going to bring it around again. Now I bring the thread over top of it, and then I pull the hackle up against the thread as I'm pulling the thread forward. I slide it over top the eye, and then tighten that down. And I do that one more time. Push those hackles out of the way, slide that thread in there, and immediately lift up. Go 2 turns. Don't worry if you caught anybody. No big deal. Lift them up again, go right into whip finish. That way nothing's got the chance to go anywhere on you. Nice and tight. Trim that off. Come in. Don't break your hackle off. You can break it off on other techniques, but with the way I tied that off, do not break that off. Sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll stay in there, but there is always the chance that it's gonna pop out of your holding wraps, and it's gonna end up breaking off on you, and then you're screwed. You gotta undo a bunch of stuff to get a new piece of hackle tied in there, so it's just not worth it. So we're gonna work our hackle back into position the way that it should be sitting, since we're pushing on it. And I got one in there that I don't like. Not that the fish would care, but that's the fly. And like I said, it is deadly. It's a deadly fly. Frank Sawyer had, I'm sure he had no idea how deadly of a fly that pheasant tail truly was. I mean, tied floating, emerging, nymph. I mean, it's just deadly. But that's the BWO floating nymph, or floating pheasant tail nymph, with a dubbing ball for the post. That one ended up being a nice little button. But other ones, as you can see here, can have a bigger post on it. Put him in the vise, you can see him. You can have yourself a bigger post on it. Nice little fatter post. And now if you're going to put floating on these, I recommend that you do not get it on the body whatsoever. Get it on your fingers and hold the fly, the hook bend in, and then just get it right on the edge, and then smush it on that little bit of a post that you got there if you're going to put floating on it. But like I said, you want it sitting down in the film. But that's the fly. That's the technique. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. I'm Jonny, Utah. Check me out on my blog, www.utahsflycorner@blogspot.com. Thank you.